Hello, this is Jennifer Lisanti, the Director of Sales at Beere&Purves. Thank you for joining me for an underwriting overview on a few different enrollment scenarios and some carrier audit tips and examples. A quick overview of what we'll cover in this short video. We'll start by going over husband and wife enrollment scenarios, then owner enrollment scenarios, followed by carrier audit reminders, and finally, specific examples of Anthem and UHC audits. So the first scenario we're going to discuss is enrolling a husband and wife owner-only group without any W-2 employees. Under current ACA rules, we can no longer write a true husband and wife owner group. Since ACA started in 2014, some carriers have started targeting this type of group. It began with Kaiser and Blue Shield, and now Anthem is automatically auditing groups with just one enrolled. So unfortunately, some of those husband and wife groups that were flying under the radar may start receiving audit letters, especially with any Anthem group that falls into this category right now. The next scenario we'll cover is an enrolling husband and wife group that does have a W-2 employee. This situation can be broken down into two categories. The first being a husband and wife only group with one or more eligible employees. Eligible employees can mean that employees waive or enrolls. All these carriers need is for there to be at least one W-2 eligible employee. For this category, Anthem, Blue Shield, Covered California, and HealthNet will allow only the husband and wife to enroll as long as the group has at least one W-2 employee that is eligible to receive coverage, whether or not they choose to actually enroll. The second category is a husband and wife only group with one or more enrolled employees. In this case, the carriers listed above and Aetna, CalChoice, and UHC will allow the husband and wife to enroll as long as the group includes at least one W-2 employee that is also enrolling. Following that format, we're now going to look at a similar scenarios but for owner-only groups. So first we're going to discuss owner-only enrollment without any W-2 employees. Aetna, Blue Shield, California Choice, and Covered California will not allow owner-only enrollment without W-2 employees. Alternatively, Anthem, HealthNet, and UHC will allow owner-only enrollment, but only under certain circumstances. It's a little tricky, so if you find yourself in this situation, the easiest thing to do is to give us a call and we'll be happy to walk you through it. So first, looking at Anthem. For owners only to enroll without any W-2 employees, the group has to meet the following criteria. The group must be a C Corp or an LLC, and they must have at least two owners in the group. One of the owners must either be on the D9C or have the ability to sign an eligibility statement attesting that they own and primarily work for the company and are receiving or will receive some sort of income. HealthNet is a little bit different. They will allow owner-only enrollment if the group is a corporation with at least one officer who is not a shareholder. Lastly, similar to Anthem, UHC will allow owner-only enrollment without W-2 employees for certain business structures. Like Anthem, United will accept C Corps and LLCs, but unlike Anthem, they will also accept S Corps. With all three business structures, the group must also have two owners where one works a required 30 hours per week. On to owner enrollment situations with W-2 employees. We'll start with the carriers that allow owners only to enroll with one or more eligible employees, meaning that the W-2 eligible can waive or enroll. Anthem, Blue Shield, Covered California, and HealthNet will all allow owners only when there is a W-2 eligible. In addition to the carriers above, Aetna, CalChoice, and UnitedHealthcare will all allow owners to enroll when the W-2 employee is enrolling. Now I know that can be a little tricky, so we put together a little grid so it can hopefully help you visualize what we just covered. You can see the carriers in the far left column, and then the columns 2 through 6 show the different scenarios. So the first column shows husband and wife owner-only enrollment with no W-2 employees. As we've mentioned, they are no longer allowed per ACA, so all these show no. The next shows husband and wife only enrollment when there is a W-2 eligible. You can have some options with this kind of situation, specifically with Anthem, Blue Shield, Covered California, and HealthNet. The next column will show the husband and wife enrollment when you have a W-2 employee enrolling. And all these show yes, so you will not have any issues in this case. The next 3 columns cover the same scenarios for owner enrollment. For owners only without W-2 employees, there are 3 maybes since you need to have a certain business structures in order to be able to write those groups. The second to last column is owner only with a W-2 eligible employee. That opens up a few more options. And the final column shows that if you have a W-2 enrolling employee, all carriers will allow the owners to enroll. Now we're going to move on to carrier audit reminders. So per the DMHC, all the carriers do random carrier audits. And I want to point out that Aetna and UnitedHealthcare are sending out both renewals and audits to groups. So just because a group receives a renewal does not necessarily mean they are good to go for the next plan year. They actually need to respond to and pass the audit in order to keep the coverage for the next year. Some things to remember when a group gets an audit. You should always respond, and if they don't pass, you should proactively terminate coverage. Feel free to contact us when your group gets an audit. We're happy to help you with the process. And in the event the group does not pass their audit, let us know and we can try to find a home for it. So as I alluded to earlier, Anthem is starting to audit every one life group. So we want to make sure that you know how to respond and you know how to respond correctly. With an Anthem audit, they are asking you to provide some information. They do want a current D9C. It has to be reconciled, so you have to indicate the usual full-time, part-time, terminated, etc. For people who are eligible but waiving, they also want to get an ID card for those people proving valid coverage. And the last thing is that the owners are not in the D9C, then you have to provide the legal documents with the eligibility statement. But if the eligible owners are on the D9C, then you do not need legal documents. So it can be pretty simple to respond to an Anthem audit typically. It's just the reconciled D9C, and if there are waivers, then you need to get those ID cards, but that would be it. Please take advantage of our services. We will help you with these audits. You can send it to us. We can review it before you send it in, or better yet, we will send it in on your behalf and we can track it and make sure things go as smoothly as possible. This information is from an audit letter sent on February 1st, which allowed the group 2 weeks to respond. Then they'll send another notice whether or not you responded. Then the cancellation letter would come through if you didn't respond. To the right, you can see the eligibility statement. It's the same one you use when you write brand new groups and if the owner is not on the D9C. And now we're going to move on to UHC. So UHC has a separate department called the Risk Management Department that handles all the audits. If you're familiar with your UHC sales and servicing teams, those are not the people doing the audits. They are, in my experience, pretty competent, but they do not move as quickly as we would all like. So when you respond to a UHC audit, they have a couple documents they need for the group to sign and submit back with the reconciled D9C. The first one is the employer information form, which asks the basic information, including participation in the group plan. That's ultimately what they're checking. The second one is the common ownership form. This can be deceiving. You may think, well, the group doesn't have multiple companies, so we won't submit the form. But the common ownership form actually has a section where it asks if you have multiple companies, and if you mark the area that's appropriate for the company and return it. So even if the group doesn't have multiple companies, they're still going to return the common ownership form saying we don't have multiple companies. And the reconciled D9C is required just like Anthem, but I want to point out that they use different codes than you may be used to. Here's a screenshot from a UHC audit where you can see these codes. And as with any audit, you want to make it as easy as possible for the auditor to review the documents and respond quickly. So for example, employees with other group coverage, we might normally put K for Kaiser next to their name. For the UHC audit, they're asking for GR instead. It's best to submit everything at once. Trickling it into the risk management department won't make anything go any faster. Every time you submit something to them, they technically have 5 days to respond to you. The nice thing is with UHC, you can go to this website and track the status of the audit. All you need to do is type in the group's number and it'll pull up the status right there. So again, feel free to submit this to Beere&Purves and we'll review it, we'll make sure it's clean and submit everything at once. Again, by trickling everything in, you just start the 5-day clock again, which is never very fun, especially if the group is getting close to the renewal date and is just becoming stressful for everyone. I want to point out CalChoice as well. We don't have them as a scenario here, but CalChoice sends out a one-page document that the group needs to sign if they can attest to it all being accurate. I believe CalChoice does this every year for groups under 5 lives, but it's pretty simple since they don't ask for any additional documents for the group to submit. They just need to sign one form attesting that it's true. And some of the information covered is available in our bulletproof underwriting document. It's a long document that goes through the different scenarios, including owner-only groups, husband and wife groups, legal document requirements, eligible wages for different cities, etc. So feel free to use that. It's always on our website or give us a call. Thank you for your time. We hope you found this content valuable. If there are any other topics you'd like us to cover, just let us know. And if there are any questions about the content presented today, give us a call at 888-722-3373. Thank you again for watching. We hope you have a great day.